Well, let's get to the first corporate on the show, post-market opening. We have Dr. Lal PathLabs. That's a stock on our radar. For quarter four, the company's growth was flat. The earnings were a little bit lower than what the street was working with. There were cost concerns in the past quarter. And in a previous interaction, the management told us that it's a little bit difficult to pull back on cost, but they were entering FY24 on a positive note. So let's find out what's the update on that front. Mr. Om Manchanda, Managing Director at Dr. Lal PathLabs, joins us on the show. Hi, sir. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, tell us, how's quarter one shaping up? You know, there were cost pressures towards the end of last quarter, but you were saying things are looking up. Have they subsided? And also, if you could tell us, have you managed to push through any price increases?
Good morning. I probably will go back before COVID times and try and give you a perspective about industry growth over the last 3-4 years. It's a little unusual that we saw a lot of fluctuations in quarterly sales in the last 3 years. Mainly it was due to COVID. But FY24, we have entered with a stable sort of base. Now, COVID is virtually about 2 to 3% of contribution at industry level. If you study the industry growth rate for last 3 years CAGR for the numbers which are in public domain, it's about 11.5%, including COVID. If you remove COVID, it's about 10%. So my sense is going forward, it will be a steady growth what industry has experienced in the last 3 years.
Mr. Manchanda, good morning. You told us that you had taken a price increase. You took a price increase in February, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Have you taken one since? I mean, over the last month and a half or so?
No. Price increases are not that frequent in this industry. We had taken this only in a partial portfolio, and it was mainly on high-end tests, but we don't take price increases so frequently.
Right. No, because you told us that the ability to pricing pressures are abating a little bit is what you told us when we spoke with you in May, and you said the ability for price increases perhaps is getting a little better. The outlook is getting better, not necessarily that you would take one. Does that still hold true?
Yeah, I think the last 3-4 years, one had seen new entrants coming in, and many of them actually were trying to gain shares by undercutting and very, very sort of heavy discounting and promotions. And I think overall the sense is that sort of a competitive intensity has settled down a bit now. I think whatever numbers we are seeing in this intensity is slightly baked in this current pattern. And most of these were actually in about 3 or 4 cities, but a large part of the growth is now going to come from tier 2, tier 3 towns. I think one can on balance say that intensity is I would say stable, not really that much as one used to feel earlier.
Have any of the new age diagnostic companies undertaken a price increase? You had in February. Since then, you don't plan to. But what about competitors? Are we seeing them going ahead with some price hikes, particularly these new age companies?
Pricing in this industry is not really national. It's more varies city to city and region to region. But the feedback that I'm getting from my teams is that the kind of discounting which was happening earlier is much less. So effectively, there is an increase in prices. That's what I would say.
Okay. So how is your Mumbai reference lab doing? It was opened in January of 2023. Could you give us an indication of the kind of utilization or the revenue potential from Mumbai and how it's scaling up?
Yes, this reference lab is part of our overall strategic plan to aggressively enter in West market, and that's precisely the reason why we did our acquisition of Suburban Diagnostics. And we are now entering into phase 2 of integration, where we will try and actually operationally see if Dr. Lal PathLabs samples can also be tested in this lab. So we are trying to look at consolidation of testing in Western region for both the companies together. Going forward, we will definitely see higher throughput in this lab. And this is very strategically placed because Suburban Diagnostics was mostly known as a routine kind of testing lab, but with high-end coming in, for the entire test menu to the market.
When do you think you will be able to create a dent and garner considerable market share in West India?
Yes, we are very confident because first of all, this process is very gradual in nature. So healthcare, you don't see really spikes in growth rates. So I would say over a period of next 3 to 5 years, we are very, very confident that we'll be able to increase our shares in Western markets.
Okay, just a quick point, Mr. Manchanda. Swasth Fit, which you basically told us is about, I think, what, a little over 20% of your revenues.
Yeah, that's right.
How is that doing now? How are consumers taking to it? What's the scope for this, the package?
Yeah, it continues to perform well, and I actually would say that overall, if 3 or 4 broad trends that we see in the market post COVID, I think number one, I would say that bundling actually has become very popular in the industry. A lot of customers and patients who actually were either chronic patients or they're looking for preventive health checkups. So I think this bundling or health packages has become a way of life. While SwasthFit has contributed handsomely for us in the last 2 years, it continues to perform better. I would say it's an industry-wide phenomenon where the bundling has become a way of life.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Manchanda, thank you very much for your time. Good speaking with you. Appreciate you joining in with that perspective. That's the diagnostic space. Well.